Over to my colleague Maria Shakil, who is joining us in very low visibility on a very cold, foggy morning. Maria, the last session of the 17th Lok Sabha is expected to start with all opposition MPs in attendance.
Yes, that's right. And there is a lot of anticipation, particularly as to what President Droupadi Murmu will be saying in this joint address, in her first one in the new Parliament of India. With me is Basuri Swaraj, spokesperson of the BJP. Sajjan Kumar, you see him often on my panels. And also we have Rajya, chartered accountant and an economist. So before I bring in the politician on the show, a quick word from Mr. Rajya. The IMF projections are very bullish on India, just as all the reports that we have seen in the past. So what is the big anticipation that you have from the upcoming interim budget, or vote an account, if I may use the right phrase?
So because it is an interim budget, we can't have higher expectations because there can't be a major change which can be brought through it. It would be taking care of 3 months expenditure and no major policy change can be done through this budget.
Yes.
It's an interim budget, and last time interim budget was presented by CA Piyush Goyal.
Yes.
So now what we expect is demand expectations for
demand expectations, but also there are these concerns which has to do with yes, everything looks very bright. India certainly is the bright spot amidst the overall economic gloom, but then addressing the real concerns, the concerns of the people, inflation, job losses, all that.
Same was expectation in 2004 when we had India shining. So it's like that.
Okay.
So euphoria and anticipations are different than the ground reality. We have to understand this is the interim budget. Nothing can be done. Whatever we can expect is in the July month when there will be full-fledged budget,
yes,
which will be presented, and there would be some policy changes as per the new mandate. And during next 2-3 months, the leaders will also meet the people and they will understand more grand reality. And that's why the July budget and the next year budget becomes more interesting.
Yes. So there is not much to expect, but Nirmala Sitharaman will be making history. This will be her 6th budget. Along with, the late former Prime Minister Morarji Desai, and a woman, who has broken many a glass ceiling, just as your mother.
A woman who has been shattering glass ceilings, I would say, and a woman finance minister of the country presenting another budget and, of course, another feather in her cap. I would say that even though it's an interim budget, the ethos of development, of growth, of Viksit Bharat, of Modi ki guarantee, you will find that will run through the interim budget as well. Of course, because it's a vote on accounts, there are certain restrictions because the new government, which will be elected, they will present a full-fledged budget in July. But I think the interim budget or the vote on accounts will be a precursor to that. Yes. And the India growth story will definitely continue. It may not have the kind of spectacular announcements that usually there are in a Modi budget. But having said that, I know that it will not disappoint anybody either.
Yeah, it's about continuity.
Of course.
It's about continuity and schemes for farmers, schemes for kind of poor, and also for the youths. These 3 segments that would be continued. And one thing is that now that 2024, the bottom line is almost becoming clearer. We find the market is at ease.
Yes.
And they are confident that whatever transformative or the big policy changes, they are waiting for the July part when the government, new government comes. At this time, I think they are going to continue the existing schemes and with the promise and with lot of hints for the coming thing. But right now, what is that market wants continuity, and with a kind of bottom line that seems more reasonable and more kind of expectable. We find that in our conversation, the corporate is at ease at moment.
Yes, the corporate seems confident about almost what will happen in the upcoming elections is almost given.
Exactly. The bottom line is clear.
The bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, the degree is not clear. What would be the extent of difference?
That's right.
But in which direction it is going is something that people have settled on.
Yes. And let's talk about the significance of the day, because President Droupadi Murmu will be addressing a joint session, and it is special because it will be in the new Parliament of India. And in the last session, we saw, a lot of tension between the Treasury benches and opposition, with also a record, suspensions. Some of that has been revoked. 12 revocation has happened of suspension of, Rajya Sabha members. But will that actually lead to some kind of thaw? Why I'm saying, because we are seeing tension. The political heat outside is much, despite the cold in the air.
So yesterday there was an all-parliamentary party meeting, and as you know that many of the leaders across 30 party lines.
A quick word, Mithali, economist, is also with us. If the camera could pan and show her as well. So welcome on the panel and good morning to you.
Thank you. Good morning from this foggy morning.
Yes.
So an all-parliamentary meeting across 30 different political parties was held yesterday. As you know that the suspension of all the Lok Sabha members automatically evaporated once the session was adjourned.
Yes.
It was only, the question was regarding Rajya Sabha members. Of course, this is a very generous and an olive branch which has been extended by the Treasury benches, by the Modi government. Now, it is, of course, dependent on the opposition whether they are willing to thaw the heat or not. But I can tell you that the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Modi government hopes for a very robust opposition, because, like I said earlier on your debates as well, in a democracy, the opposition also holds a very important and a relevant role.
Yeah.
I just hope that this time they don't come with placards, because the Parliamentary Affairs Minister has requested them specially to not flout rules, which they did deliberately on the last occasion.
Okay, Mithali, come in on this side, please. Yes, and Mithali, Mithali and another economist is here. Mithali, your anticipation for the budget, and particularly in the backdrop of the IMF projections.
So, yesterday we were all at this amazing event which Minister Smriti Irani was hosting on Nari Shakti.
Yes.
And we had this industry pledge. Literally 1 lakh people joining in online and in person took a pledge together to increase women's representation in the workforce.
And we have ensured here.
Exactly. So,
Early morning.
Yes. So, number one expectation is that we have taken a pledge.
Yes.
Now we will start to see that the gender budget should increase. Over the last, 15 years, we've seen the gender budget hover somewhere between 5 to 6% of total expenditure.
That's right.
This year, I'm hoping it goes up to 10%. So that's my, wish list.
Or will you be waiting for the full budget, because this is vote on account?
Even for this, in the next 3 months, if we can say that yes, Nari Shakti is our big push.
Yes.
And we are, in this vote on account, actually putting in the investment into Nari Shakti, I believe that can happen. I believe that is one major expectation I have, and also a hope.
Okay. Let's wrap it up with your hope.
My hope is that we get a better taxation reliefs and other things.
But taxation relief, you're anticipating it'll happen now or in July? Or you'll have to wait
This time also.
This time as well. Okay. Okay. Coming back to politics of it. Rahul Gandhi is on Nyaya Yatra. Outside, there is a lot of allegations coming against the BJP, which perhaps will be reflecting on the floor of the House as well, because the opposition is united in saying that there is misuse of central agencies. Hemant Soren will be appearing before the Enforcement Directorate today. Yesterday, Tejasvi Yadav was questioned for good 10 hours. That is something that the opposition plans to raise even today.
See, this is actually, it would not even be an issue if the opposition leaders were actually abiding by the law. I've said this time and time again. When an ED summon is issued, it is mandatory in law for the individual to go and appear before the investigating agencies. The ED is an independent investigating agency just doing its job. Mr. Soren has disregarded 7 summons already. Today, if he goes and actually adheres to the summon, well and good. But this entire hue and cry about arrests, about misuse of agencies, I'll be very honest, there's a different perspective to it. It is the fact that the Modi government is actually very serious on corruption. Modi ji has time and again said, "Na khaunga, na khane dunga." This only shows.
Actually, opposition says that why everything against only opposition leaders, which is NDA leader who is being investigated by any of the agencies.
The cases against any alleged NDA leaders are still going on. They have not been quashed. This is a matter of record. Second, as far as opposition leaders are concerned, even you're aware that even during the UPA government, the opposition leaders were not, it wasn't that they were going scot-free. It is not about opposition leaders. It is about bringing the guilty to justice. If you have actually committed a crime, it is being investigated. You cannot be allowed to go scot-free just merely because you're part of the opposition benches.
Yes, and also what happened in Chandigarh mayoral elections. The charge is that you rigged it.
Certainly not. But then, you know what, I want to ask the Aam Aadmi Party. They had sort of spoken in this hyperbole where they had said that this is the first showdown of the opposition India alliance against the BJP. Now, when the result has not been favorable, they're actually sort of crying sabotage. But then this always happens. When they lose, they blame the EVM. They talk about rigging. If they win, then everything is hunky-dory.
Okay. My last word to you, Sajjan. You know, we certainly don't expect a full session to be, business as usual. But certainly, perhaps today and tomorrow could be the days in which there will be business of the House because of, the joint address and also by the vote on account. But the concerns that are being raised by opposition are also a valid one.
Yeah, see, the opposition has a job to raise the concerns, and you cannot imagine a healthy democracy without opposition raising those issues. Now, the issue is that we are witnessing a time when at the global level we already entered into a phase of recession, economic kind of a very precarious scenario. And it is a collective responsibility that opposition always keeps the government of the day on guards. I mean, doesn't let them have complacency. And the fact that Rahul Gandhi is leading Nyaya Yatra with lots many economic issues, we would like to have a reflection of that healthy debate in the parliament also. Exactly. It should not be about confrontation. It should be about a valid criticism and raising the houses. And that is why I said that the track record of India, if you see on a comparative scale, is promising because people are, having faith in, because in the Asian scenario and South Asian scenario, India is leading the charge and we have sailed through relatively smoothly compared to many countries of not only Asia but also in the West.
Yes, and also the opposition concerns on, bread and butter issues aren't really misplaced.
No, they are a valid issue because because post-pandemic, this has become a global issue and therefore government of the day has an added responsibility and that is why we are witnessing a phase of politics wherein we are in a transition phase and therefore lots many confrontation is happening. The old generation, old grammar of politics has changed. The profile of parliament is changing. Less elite and more, parliament is more reflecting of the social realities and therefore the rough edges are there. Yeah. So we hope that lessons are learned and smoothened, but opposition has a job and their priority and their concern is certainly not misplaced and that should be taken quite seriously by the government of the day.
Yes, absolutely. And, Basuri, 18th Lok Sabha, will it have more women representation? Yes. As Mitali is hoping, and so am I, and I'm sure you as well. But it will also mean that various political parties have to ensure that they give tickets to women, that women are fielded as candidates.
Well, the Modi government is very, very committed to Nari-led development, to women-led development, to youth-led development. And of course, this is going to be reflective in our internal policies. It already is in the Bharatiya Janata Party's constitution. And it is going to hopefully be reflected, I'm sure of it, in the upcoming elections as well.
And perhaps we'll see you in Parliament soon as well. Okay, a final quick word.
So I think, on this budget, we've discussed a number of issues. One thing we probably haven't discussed is sustainable development and green energy. It is really my expectation when we look at the trends that the budget for the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and for electric vehicles, transport, green mobility can go up even now. Because that signals the policy direction that we're taking, that, just after COP We've made a lot of commitments, and this could be, the future direction that we're taking, investing in green energy, investing in green transport, green fuels.
All right. Thank you so much, Mitali, Basuri, Sajjan and Mr. Rajaram for coming for this conversation here at NDTV. This remains our top focus here on NDTV.